there, my name is Belinda Doveston and welcome to the I Ching Cafe and our weekly overview for the week commencing the 6th of September 2021, our first full week episode into September. Join me to look at how this week can maximize our flow. Last week we had an exploration of truth, of the many faceted aspects of truth in our life, of tuning into the heart of what's really important to pay attention to, a new truth, letting that come down to us through that kind of hot knife through butter, slicing through our existing preconditioned ideas about things, and making sure that we take up the challenge to be clear on what we really want and not take action from what others want, and letting dispersing the beautiful warm wind that wants to melt all our locked things, release us from stuck issues, stuck emotions, to liberate us and free us up. How did that work for you last week? Right, so this week we have a locked hexagram. Okay, so that means there are no changing lines. When I cast the coins, I either got an 8, which is a female line, a broken line, or I got a 7, which is a male yang line, an unbroken line. So when we have a locked hexagram, it's quite static, it's quite fixed, that's what it is. I do like changing lines, not too many, just a few, just to keep things interesting. But a locked hexagram really then brings us something really particular to pay attention to. And what you might find in working with these hexagrams is not all of us every week are going to have these massive, big life epiphanies. We're going to go through these huge, big cycles of development. We are all in different phases and we have our own life story, our own flow of change to work with. And sometimes the way that the I Ching works with us is quite mundane. Okay, and I want to share a very funny example where a couple of weeks back we had a locked hexagram where we had hexagram 39, obstruction. And there really wasn't much happening in the week for me personally in obstruction. I know there were lots of people around me who were having big boulders in their path that they were struggling to move past, and I could see this hexagram playing out for people and for you who posted comments about it, but I couldn't see it for my own life. Anyway, so we had a problem with a washing machine and it was not running. There was water, there was electricity, was not wanting to do anything. And so I said to my husband, I know. The I Ching said this week is obstruction locked. There's a blockage. And he was like, okay, I know you well enough after all these years to just humor you a bit. And he went and he found the obstruction, which was a blockage in the pipe. Okay, so sometimes there's a humorous side to this where it's very mundane, and sometimes it's very profound and very large. And I would just say be open to whatever comes. But when I have these things happen, I'm like, what did the I Ching say? Obstruction. Okay, the next week happened, we had limitation. What did the I Ching say? We had a car issue with petrol. There was a limitation in the petrol line. So call me crazy, but that's how I work with it. Just letting it come to me in the way that it needs to come to me in the week, and not trying to make it a big, crazy, big issue that every week I'm needing to go through this massive, big development. Sometimes it's just mundane advice, and that's what it is. Okay, so let's have a look at what the locked hexagram for this week is. We have hexagram 16, enthusiasm. Okay, that's much better than obstruction. Okay, so hopefully I don't have an enthusiastic washing machine after being obstructed. So enthusiasm is a very interesting hexagram because when we see the word, I almost feel like the word enthusiasm undermines the power of this hexagram. Okay, Stephen Karsha talks about this hexagram as being providing for, providing for what is needed for the future. I really connect a bit more powerfully to that idea of building the battery. And this hexagram is really about focusing on providing for what the future may need, storing up energy, building enthusiasm and motivation and passion into a receptacle, into a container we can draw on at a later time. So I visualize this also like a Tesla battery or whatever battery system you've got in your house where you've got solar panels. And what the solar panels do is they use the natural energy of the sun to store up energy. So when you need it, you can flick a switch and be off the grid. You can draw on the power that has been collated into that receptacle. And this is what the week is asking us to pay attention to prepare and build up the storehouse of energy. I often experience this as needing to do that preparatory work before something else happens, of mobilizing and getting a team organized and focused and aligned so that we can act as a whole when the time comes. And potentially for you and your team, that is about building up enthusiasm and motivation and energy. Now, energy and motivation that is not sustained through something bigger and through something else can also dissipate. You can get a whole bunch of people all riled up at these big events. We've got thousands of people and everyone's working each other up into a frenzy. But then how do we sustain and draw on that energy for a long period of time? And I'm sure you, as I have to admit, you've been to things where you've heard this speech or you've heard this impassioned plea, or you've been in a crowd where everyone's buying stuff and you want to buy too. And you get caught up in that enthusiastic, manic process. And then the next week, whatever it is that you bought to change your life immediately, suddenly, you look at it and think, why did I do that? Or now you have to actually implement the thing that you went crazy over at the seminar. Okay, so we've all been there in some way, shape or form, whether it's a vacuum cleaner salesman or it's a course with a big ticket speaker on the stage. We've all done it. And so this is about understanding that it's about taking beyond the initial enthusiasm of a peak, and how do we sustain and draw on that enthusiastic motivation over a period of time. And the way we do that is we build up our capacity to act. Another symbol we could think about for this story is that when athletes or a ballet dancer or a kung fu master, when they are building up their skills and abilities, they're training their neurons and they're training their body and their brain to know exactly what to do in the moment. That they prepare and practice and practice and practice, so that when they have to react, they react instantaneously without having to think. And that is another way of understanding it. So it's a preparation week. There's something particular we are being asked to pay attention to, where our focus is on the preparation and on building our capacity to act later. What is the capacity we need to build now? We have to think about and plan now that we're going to need in the future. And enthusiastically then activating, doing that work now. It's going to be interesting. Looking forward to your stories on enthusiasm as we work through this week. If you've not yet done so, go and check out the monthly overview for September. So you can check in on our beautiful hexagram 11 piece and darkening of the light and what we're needing to pay attention to. But right now, think about this week. Think about this battery, this storehouse of energy, this intense collation of resources and energy and focus, that when it's time to act, when it is show on, we can step out into the stage with confidence because we are ready and we are prepared. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode. And if you've not yet done so, it would be super if you could subscribe and click the bell so that you get notifications of the weekly episodes as they drop on a Sunday. And I look forward to seeing you on the socials as well. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon.